So we'll run this one for 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think that's good. It sounds like good subject matter. And that starts today?
That starts today, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 7 o'clock.
All right. And what's the other movie that's starting new one today?
The other one, Nobody.
Nobody.
Nobody. This is from the producers of John Wick.
Oh.
So this is another beat 'em up and
shoot 'em up, cut 'em up,
killing a bunch of bad guys. Yeah,
right.
Good stuff.
And we were talking before the show today that some of these John Wick movies have had an alarming number of deaths in one movie.
Yeah, I wasn't alarmed.
Well, you don't get alarmed by anything. But I mean, I think you were mentioning 100 and some deaths in one movie.
Yeah, that third John Wick film was like 167.
Right.
This one is only about 60 or so. So
right.
Quite a bit better.
People crawling around the floor in here. I just can't help but chuckle. Anyway.
Bob Odenkirk is the protagonist in this. He's the star.
And we might know him from.
Well, did you ever? I shouldn't say that.
Ask him.
Craig, surely you remember.
And please don't call me Shirley.
Breaking Bad.
I never watched it.
How about Better Call Saul?
I missed that one too.
Oh, jeez.
Maybe you want to talk to me after all.
I'll interview myself. I've got 2 mics. Andy, do you remember Breaking Bad? I certainly do. And Bob Odenkirk played a lawyer in Breaking Bad that later spun off into another series called Better Call Saul, where he plays the same character.
I think I have seen some of that.
Yeah.
Or at least the commercials for it.
Or at least the commercial. That's close enough for you.
That's right.
Yeah. And this is his first chance to be a really kind of a big movie star in an action flick.
Huh.
And he got his first, and this will take you back. He got his first role in a major motion picture back in 1993. Wayne's World 2.
Oh, Wayne's World.
Yeah. He played
take you back for sure.
Concert Nerd.
Concert Nerd.
Yeah, that was his first screen role. But he's a very talented guy. He does all kinds of stuff. He's directed.
So things have moved forward since the Concert Nerd.
Yes, you start someplace, right?
That's right.
You start somewhere and then go as hard and as fast as you can.
There you go.
But he does all kinds of stuff. He writes. He's directed a few movies, none that anybody's ever heard of, and of course he's an actor.
Well, now how many of these John Wick movies did he make?
3,
and,
so far.
And those
so far, I hope that they will make more.
And those have been pretty successful, right?
You bet your boots.
Oh, they're fun. You go watch. I say go watch bad guys get beat up, and they mix some comedy in there, and it's entertaining.
Yeah, there you go.
It's definitely rated R, by the way.
Okay, so a little bit of potty language and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And for those of you that are wondering, the R ratings means don't bring the kids.
That's right.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
But if your kids do want to watch a movie, you have some options that way.
We do, yeah. Sure.
Such as?
But we still have
segue there.
Well, the big one still is Raya, the Last Dragon.
Oh, right.
A Disney film that's been doing really good. And this is one of these. We also have Tom and Jerry.
Oh, cool.
Is the other kids one. Tom and Jerry, it's from the reaction I'm getting, it's a kids movie. The little ones like it. Adults, not so much.
But I mean, the kids have to have a bad guy gets beat up movie too.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Now Raya.
Kitty cat gets beat up.
Yeah. Raya, on the other hand, everyone's liking this one. Adults, kids. This is something that the whole family can enjoy.
Right. Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, and interesting. That Disney has done lots of princess movies, and they did one a few years ago, and the princess was a Polynesian. And of course, they've done where
Moana.
They did one where the princess was a Chinese girl.
Right.
And this one, the culture that they've created for the movie is an amalgam of kind of Southeast Asian cultures. Mm-hmm. They took a little bit from Malaya, a little bit from Vietnam, a little bit from Cambodia, and so on. So it's It's a pastiche. Is that a right word?
Pastiche?
I
I
think
don't.
so.
Well, if you say so.
It is now.
No.
Just making it up as we go along here. No, that's interesting. Though.
You know, that's all. That's Hollywood kind of, recognizing that China is such a huge market for film right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of theaters in China. They have, in the last 10 years, they've really just blown up over there.
Wow.
So yeah, there's
And there's a lot of Chinese movie going into productions too.
yes. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
And what would be, I mean, as far as Chinese productions that we may know here, I mean, are there a couple of notables that you could?
The Great Wall,
The Great Wall.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was
Well,
what, about a year or
there's-
so ago?
a couple of years ago.
I'm sure the money's in quite a bit of stuff, but Mulan was the big
Oh,
one last year.
there you go.
That was that a lot of money came through there.
Very interesting.
yeah.
By the way, good morning to Jolene, Chris, and Rhonda joining us on Facebook Live.
Hi, Rhonda.
Hope you're liking the new improved wider view.
And there, kind of touching on that again, it's a little bit strange. The Star Wars movies do not do real well in China. I have no idea there. I don't know if it was just because the first one came out.
Well, it's
so
because
long
they,
ago that-
in the very first one, they said you got to let the Wookiee win. And they didn't like that. I'm sorry. Those of you that, anyway, never mind. We'll just cruise on past that one. That is interesting. Why wouldn't Star Wars
I
sell
don't,
well there?
I don't know. Like I said, maybe just because it started so long ago. The Fast and Furious franchises do really good over there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of I don't know. Well, obviously a different culture too. So
What was that one that the spinoff they did, Hobbs and somebody?
Hobbs and Shaw.
I wonder how that did in China.
Yeah,
That was
I'm
a
not sure.
terrible movie.
Yeah, it was pretty hokey. We got the next. Speaking of Fast and Furious.
There's another one coming.
Yeah, that one originally was set for May 28th, and then Universal got a little bit spooked, and they moved it back to, I think, June 27th or somewhere in there, that last week of June. So we got, 3 more months here, and we'll have another Fast and Furious movie.
Well, and, hopefully things will start to, move in a little bit more of a positive direction that way. And that, yesterday here in Arizona, Governor Ducey, relaxed all the state mandates as far as social distancing and all that, and all these taverns and stuff that had to be boarded up there for a while are all open again.
Well, and we just went, we've been closed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're open Mondays now also. So we're
okay.
just going to be closed on Tuesday, Wednesday. So we're kind of
Slowly getting back after.
Yeah, we're drifting back that way. And by summertime, we're going to have to be back to 7 days a week.
Yeah, very cool.
So and it's been it's just definitely picking up. We're still not quite where we were, but things are going in the right direction.
Right. Now, any other movies going on right now this week that we haven't mentioned already?
Sure.
Yeah, well, we still have Chaos Walking
Chaos Walking, okay.
and The Father.
Very interesting
Father.
movie, that Chaos Walking.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to like it at all.
Now, did you watch that last week?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was just going to be a big stupid head thing, but it wasn't. It was very well done, and I enjoyed it a lot. And this is, and I didn't really think about this until about a week after I saw the movie. But the setup is, on this planet, the thoughts of men are visible. They're like in a halo, kind of a cloud around their head, and you can see what they're thinking about. And
That's a planet I need to stay away from.
and women don't have that failing, and it's a lot like real life, where women know what we're thinking about all the time, because after all, we're not complicated creatures.
Yeah. I'm usually thinking about like lunch.
Yeah.
It doesn't go very deep.
No.
And now, what about the Father?
The Father.
Now, is that one you saw last week?
Yeah.
And what did you think?
By golly, if you're interested, you can read my review in today's newspaper.
In the Payson Roundup. Right.
Yes. And it is a incredibly well done movie about a subject that is very, very serious and sad.
And this deals with Alzheimer's.
Dementia.
Yeah, dementia. Yeah.
Yeah, and Anthony Hopkins is one of the great actors of our age, and
Truly.
he is able to bring us right into the room and watch this poor fella deteriorate right before our eyes, and it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is nominated for Best Picture, and Anthony Hopkins nominated for Best Actor.
It's
But,
a tough subject, especially if you've, as I have, dealt with it with somebody in your family. It's an extra sore subject, but it's pretty amazing. What people have to go through and that, and I'm anxious to see that movie. And I don't normally. I'm not one that really, likes to. Hey, let's go see a really depressing movie.
You're not going to come watch it.
Yeah, I might.
No, you're not going to come watch it.
You think so? What do you think I'm gonna? You think?
I don't think you're not going to come watch anything.
Oh, ye of little faith.
What? All right.
You should bring the little
what's
ones to see Raya and the Last Dragon.
Oh, there you go. That could be fun.
When was the last time you came to the theater and watched a movie?
About a year ago.
We were closed a year ago.
And that's why I haven't been back since.
Was it 2 years?
No, I think the last time I was there for one of your Saturday morning classic movies.
Oh, okay. All right.
When the place was packed too. So it had to be over a year ago.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to remember what it was that we watched. But I know the place was packed, and I ended up sitting in the front row, getting the deck action.
Oh yeah, you're too tall for that.
Well,
Got a crink in
that's
your
what all
neck.
the people behind me were saying. But at any rate, I do need to get down there. I would like to see the subject matter that's near and dear to me. I mean, we went through that with one of my parents, and the final days of that were. It's just a long series of goodbyes, and it's a tough subject.
Yeah, and we just had this other movie, Land, about a lady that has PTSD. She's suffered.
There's another tough subject.
Severe loss in her life, and it really threw her for a loop, and she heads off into the wilderness of Wyoming, and just by a quirk of the scriptwriter's pen, she didn't die in the wilderness. She was rescued.
Though profoundly ill prepared for what she was about to.
That's good. Profoundly ill prepared for life in the wilderness. Yep, absolutely.
There's other ways of saying that. I was trying to meter my words carefully.
Yeah, no, that was very good. I like that. Yeah, there's one scene in there where she's trying to survive by eating a can of frozen beans.
Ooh.
That's tough. That's
It's chipping away.
I always say no to frozen beans.
Yeah.
A couple of good one-liners come to mind. I'm going to let it go.
Another movie about a tough subject that was really well done.
Right.
And that's this time of the year. We're kind of in the. If you follow movies, they go through seasons, and this is kind of the season for the heavy drama type stuff, and
right.
Of course we're moving in the summer, which is superheroes and
mindless
aliens.
colors.
Yes. In fact, on that subject, next Wednesday. Normally we're closed on Wednesday, but next Wednesday we're going to open up for Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, that's
Now is that coming out of Asia? I mean, like all the original, Godzilla movies did. I think they came out of Japan. I think.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Don't know.
Yeah, I'm not really sure on that. I'm sure there's some of their money in there, but that was Godzilla was originally a metaphor for the atomic bomb. That was what they were.
Oh, okay.
That was their. That's why he breathes, radioactive breath and everything.
Right.
That was the gist of that one.
I like that.
I
like that.
In the one, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I guess, with Matthew Broderick, there's a great scene or just a flash on the screen where they're setting off the first H bomb and a Weetalk, which I witnessed.
Really?
Yeah, well, that was pretty dramatic stuff.
That had to be very dramatic.
Yeah, well, it had an impact on me. I'll tell you that. I was 7 years old, 8 years old, something
Wow.
like that. But there's a on the.
I've noticed you have a certain glow about you.
Yeah. There's a symbol on the tower where they put the atomic device or the hydrogen device on a tower and set it off, 100 feet up in the air or something. But there's a logo on there, and it's got a picture of Godzilla with a line through it, like a no parking thing.
Right.
And I just thought that was so cool. So.
That makes sense. I like that. Yeah. Wow. That was a few years ago.
Oh yeah, it was 52 or 53.
Wow. That would have been interesting, though. I mean, there's been some interesting stories of late of people that used to gather to watch on the Arizona-New Mexico border, watch the nuclear tests, and that the incidence rate of cancer and stuff like that in those families was rather profound, and there's been some type of restitution sought and that kind of thing. But I have to say, it would have been interesting to sit and watch, even though none of them knew anything that there was any kind of radiation threat or anything at that point.
This was a couple hundred miles from me, but
just sit and watching the light show.
Yeah, but it's before dawn, and then all of a sudden, from horizon to horizon, this huge bright light.
Wow! From a couple hundred miles away.
Yeah, well, it was so far away that the sound came much later. Big, long, prolonged rumble.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it was really something.
That would be a trip, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and
anyway, that was a Godzilla story.
There you go. By the way, good morning to Janice, Bill, Roger, Amber, Jolene, bunch of good people. Chris joining us on Facebook this morning. Appreciate you joining along with us. Talking with the Hometown Movie Guys. If you just tuned in here on KRIM, as we always do on Friday, we spend our first 30 minutes on the radio talking, and you go an hour long on Facebook. So go over to Facebook, look for KRIM FM on Facebook, and see what's going on behind the scenes.
It would be
here.
fun if we had an hour on the radio. That would be fun.
I think I've heard this somewhere before. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'll have to talk to management about that.
I wish you would. One of the things with this new movie, the Nobody, Connie Nielsen plays the wife of Bob Odenkirk's character.
Right.
And Odenkirk in this movie is I guess an enforcer, a mob enforcer, and he's retired. He's living a quiet life, and Connie Nielsen is his wife, and you will remember her because you saw her just recently in a whole series of Wonder Woman films. She played I don't know how to say this. Hippolyta. Anyway, the Queen of the Amazons, Wonder Woman's mom.
Oh.
He didn't see that.
No, but if it's the Queen of the Amazon women, I might have to make an exception and go see it, though. That sounds interesting.
Did you ever see? I think it's called the Amazon Queen in the Avocado Jungle of Death.
I don't know how I missed that one.
Well, I do. You're not. You're busy chasing doggies out of your yard.
So this sounds like a salad dressing or something.
That was, it was kind of fun.
Was there zombies in that one?
No.
Oh, wow.
Should have been.
Yeah.
But,
would have rounded it out, probably.
Adrienne Barbeau.
Ooh, now we're talking.
Was played in that, and
that goes back a few years.
Yes, I think she was wearing rabbit skins in that one. It was a good movie. In any case, Bob Odenkirk in his Better Call Saul plays a lawyer named Goodman.
Right.
Okay. And in another actor in the same movie that's starting today, Nobody, is Chris Lloyd. Chris Lloyd, you'll know from Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future.
Oh, right.
Yeah. He played the crazy old scientist.
Yeah. And he's done a few unusual...
Well, 228 movies.
Really? 228?
Yeah, I mean, he's about 100 years old, and he's still doing 3 or 4 or 5 movies a year, including Craig's favorite movie, Piranha, Double D, where he played Mr. Goodman.
Mr. Goodman.
The same name that Bob Odenkirk played in Better Call Saul. Isn't that something? What a coincidence.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
By the way, Piranha 3 Double D, terribly violent film, among other things. Real quick here before tonight, she was a deputy's wife. We're doing a one-time showing tonight at 7 o'clock It's the Oxbow outfit is going to be there.
Oh, right.
It's a Western film that some of them actually were in. They're all going to show up tonight in their Western attire and everything. It's really fun. It's a one-time thing tonight, 7 o'clock, and just $7.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah. So it's
What's the movie about?
the deputy's wife.
I get it.
Yeah. I know we did.
We all know about her.
I don't know if any saw. Actually, I guess it was last year in January. I think Eminence Hill.
Yes.
was another one that these guys all did, and the same. I think the same director too. So, like you said, it's just kind of a fun time, and like I said, those guys all showing up in their outfits and stuff.
And I see their
neat.
posts on social media on a regular basis, from some of these things, and it had to be kind of exciting for them to be able to play a part in the movie, who gets the chance to do that?
Well, it looks like they're making 12 of these things, 12 different westerns.
Wow.
So this is one of those 12, and we'll be bringing some more in too. So
Very cool.
Like I said, this is good stuff, and I got 2 theaters set aside tonight for that, so we'll have plenty of space for people.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I'll tell you what, we're about out of time here on K-Room. We got to get you back to more of your favorite music. But again, we're going to keep on talking with your hometown movie guys on Facebook Live. So go on Facebook, look for K-Room FM on Facebook, and we'll continue the conversation. We're going to be talking about violent. I mean, how are we going to brand this? Just violent movies?
Yeah, we're going to have to kind of break that up. There's lots of different types of violence too.
And some of these,
we'll talk about them all.
And I heard you talking just before going on the air today. I mean, some of these go back quite a few years. Even some talk about the violence in Ben-Hur. I heard you talking about, and that's people died during the filming of that.
Yeah,
so
sure.
it's going to be. We'll talk more about that here on Facebook in just a moment. In the meantime, on K, I'm going to get you back to more of your favorite music. Have some tunes coming up from Van Halen, Paul McCartney and Wings, Cat Stevens, Manfred Mann, and more. But first, a look at Rim Country weather. Now it's just us on Facebook. And glad to have you along. So violent movies. Now, we were talking. I made the comment a minute ago about your conversation I overheard earlier regarding Ben-Hur and the chariot scene in there, where, as I understand it, somebody was killed during the filming of that, as those chariots wiped out and stuff. But they actually, I don't think anyone even knew how to spell OSHA back then, and so it was a whole different world. That was back in the '60s, right?
Yeah, well, and we were kind of comparing it to Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, there you go.
Where and like Ben-Hur, Fury Road, a lot of it wasn't CGI. I mean, they had these stuntmen doing just some crazy things. These long poles swinging back and forth between moving vehicles.
Do you happen to see that?
No.
Okay.
Hard as that may be to believe.
Imagine this: you're out in the desert. You've got these crazy Mad Max vehicles, lots of them.
Now, Fury Road was not the first one, right?
No,
I saw the first one.
Yeah.
Fourth. Most
Fourth?
recent.
They did 4 of them?
Yeah, most recent one.
Were any of them better than the first?
This
Fury
last one
Road was
yeah,
fabulous.
Nominated
They're
for
all great.
Really?
10
Wow.
Academy Awards or something.
Yeah, Charlize Theron.
And I'm
Tom
assuming.
Hardy.
I'm guessing Tina Turner isn't in this one.
No, Tina Turner I think is retired.
Yeah.
Now this one was just, they got vehicles where they took 2 Cadillacs and stacked them on top of each other, and then put these giant wheels on it and gun turret. And they made all these vehicles too. I mean, it's just really, I mean, if you look at the movie, it's just insane that they even to try to pull this thing off wasn't Namibia or they were
Namibia.
They were in the deserts in Africa, just where they had these long flat straightaways that they could, and probably no OSHA.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Those got to be like $100 million plus movies.
Oh yeah,
sure, yeah.
Oh sure,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so just imagine this, you've got this crazy vehicle of some sort roaring through the desert, and then coming out of the vehicle, you've got a 30-foot tall, like a pole vaulter pole.
Right.
Bendy. And then you've got a guy on the top of the pole, and he bends over
I think I've seen the clips of that.
Yeah.
Swinging back and forth. Yeah.
to get somebody in another vehicle, another crazy vehicle that is also roaring through the desert at 70 miles an hour, and they have real guys really doing that. Nuts, just nuts.
Real guys that are really nuts.
Well, yeah, no safety lines or anything, and they're swinging over, and then they drop off the pole and land in a vehicle, and Really, really some good stuff.
Yeah, and it's like, nonstop action. Some people are touting it as the greatest action movie of all time.
Wow.
And it's 2.5 hours long, and it's probably 2 hours and 15 minutes of it is action, and 15 minutes is dialogue.
And how long ago was this?
Last year, year before.
Yeah, maybe a few years, but not that long ago.
So that should be on Netflix then or something like that.
Oh yeah, but you want to see it on the big screen, dude.
I do.
But Elvis Presley's granddaughter's in it, and Lisa Bonet's daughter is in it. So,
Wow.
both-
Elvis Presley's
both-
granddaughter.
Yeah, both very attractive.
So that's Lisa
women,
Presley's daughter then.
I suppose.
Yeah. Wow,
I don't know
interesting.
what the genealogy is, but
Yeah, who knows?
But lots of people die.
Yeah. Bottom line.
Oh, yeah.
That's
yeah,
from our-
and they die in all kinds of horrible and innovative ways too.
No, that's good. You don't want to die in boring ways.
No.
But I have seen some of that video footage of those guys on those weird poles, and I was thinking that was probably some kind of CGI thing, but it wasn't.
Nope.
No,
Wow.
and what they did too on some of these, these, the main vehicle was this big like oil tanker, and then it's got turrets and everything on top of it. Well, to do the filming, they built a huge scaffolding system on top of the truck, so these guys could suspend off of that, and basically had them like on bungee cords, and they would jump off the truck and like to land on another vehicle, so it would stop them just short of hitting it.
Right.
They were actually filming all of this stuff, and just yeah, I mean, it's almost as interesting. There's some stuff on YouTube on how they made Fury Road, and that was almost as interesting as the movie. Just
Wow.
watching all these different stunts and how they pulled it off.
Very interesting.
But one of my very favorite of all time bizarre kills is in Lethal Weapon 2, where they're up in the Hollywood Hills, and there's a sudden stoppage, and on top of the vehicle, guy's got a surfboard, and the surfboard zings across the intersection and decapitates a guy.
Seems like I remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I've never seen anybody do that again, but that was a
Surf's up.
yeah.
That one leads into some of the horror violence. I guess is another a type of violence, and you've got some of these franchises, Final Destination, Saw, the Saw films, where they're just coming up with unique and awful ways of
Variations on a theme of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean,
Yeah.
those movies that goes back a lot of years, but I mean those kind of movies seem to keep getting remade, and I think
But there's
the shock factor is what they're going for.
yeah, and there is a market for them. They don't cost dink to make, and people like to go to see them. Well, the kind of the classic example of that is one, and I know that you haven't seen this, so I'm not going to ask you. It's called Cannibal Holocaust,
Yeah, I think I did miss that one.
but it's a
Cannibal Holocaust.
yeah. This one is so graphic, so vile that it's an Italian exploitation flick from the 70s, I think. But it's so vile that it was banned in Italy.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Where it was made.
where it was made. Yeah, and they tried to actually prosecute the director for murder because it was so realistic that they thought that they actually killed people in the movie.
it's
Wow.
there's that shock. That's what they're shooting for. There is just trying to shock people with
Right.
just how violent they can get. And
Bet
it's
you never
kind
seen
of
this
a-
before.
Yeah.
Been kind of a competition, I think, really to get that going, and that's
That's just icky stuff, in my opinion.
I agree, but I mean, there's a market for it. Some people, like I said, those Saw movies are just.
Right.
When you go way back, you got Mondo Connie. Oh, that was a whole series of vignettes of just icky stuff, but
Saw was
pretty icky.
I think in my younger, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and some of those, I saw those back then, but after a couple of decades of disasters, I really can't. I've seen too many weird things to want to go relive any of that. When it comes to going to
that's you get into, not really shock violence, I guess, but some of the war movies. Saving Private Ryan.
Ooh,
There were some scenes in there that were pretty.
But-
the opening scene.
But I mean,
was-
that's also the reality of that,
Yes.
and they're not doing it for the shock value.
Right,
It's more to
exactly.
make the realism come through.
Sure.
And that I'll buy that.
Yeah.
That Saving Private Ryan, I think I've seen it 3 or 4 times. So at least
Yeah,
there
those
are
are-
some movies that I have seen.
Those are pretty rough. And then my favorite is one of the sci-fi horror. Where you have aliens and stuff, and some of that. Well, the alien movies are a good example.
Yeah.
Now that first one was pretty. Of course, bursting out of the guy's chest. That's everyone remembers that. But when you have aliens killing each other, that can be pretty violent. But
And just aliens, so who
yeah,
cares?
exactly. You don't have that realism mixed in with it.
Who knew that aliens slobbered so much too?
Well, and sometimes some of them got acid slobber, and you don't want to get any of that on
That'll
you.
leave a mark. Yeah. But
But I like the fun ones, the lighthearted ones, the lighthearted violence, like the El Mariachi.
okay.
It's part of a three movie series done by Robert Rodriguez, and they're just wacky and fun, and people get killed like crazy.
Well, and not really getting killed like crazy, but in much the same way as far as some significant violence, but also some lighthearted material. When you look at like Raiders of the Lost Ark and some of those movies, I thought those were tremendously entertaining.
The guy, it was pretty entertaining when the guy walks into the moving propeller, right?
Those were Nazis.
Oh, that's just you all over.
Yeah, well, those were Nazis. You could.
Yeah,
that's right.
You can kill Nazis indiscriminately.
And the other guy gets his face melted off. That was great.
Yeah, that was, and that lacked a little bit of the realism side of things, but
Yeah, it was
you
fun.
needed to do something to him, and melting his face was a good one.
Yeah.
But and or in the one where you got the big old huge dude with like the sword that's going to come and and he just pulls a gun out and shoots him. Okay, next. I'm easily entertained.
Yeah, well, those were actually, wasn't it that first or second Indiana Jones that brought on the PG-13 rating?
Oh, really?
Because I think back in the '70s they didn't have PG-13. It was just PG and R.
Right.
And you had some movies. Well, Jaws was another one. Jaws is rated PG. There's some fairly violent stuff in there. And I mean, now it would definitely be a PG-13. And Indiana Jones had the Temple of Doom. That thing was crazy.
Oh, yeah,
They
rip the
were,
guy's
ripping
heart out.
hearts. Yeah, I mean, holding them, still beating heart, and that's it. I don't know if that was. That might have been a PG one too. That might have been PG, and it was right in that era though, and those types of movies that brought on the PG-13 rating, something kind of in between the two of them.
That makes sense. So PG-13 is supposed to be only for kids 13 or over, and they still need parental guidance.
Yeah, under 13, it's recommended that.
They can go see Raya and the Last Dragon.
As I think I mentioned a few weeks ago, one of my brothers and his girlfriend at the time, and I was a very young kid, so I'm thinking we're talking late '60s, early '70s. No, when did the movie Ben come out? I mean, a very young Michael Jackson did the
60s.
song. I think that was the late '60s. But I remember he and his girlfriend took me to see that. And I was going to movie with my brother and his girlfriend. And all of a sudden we went and saw that. And it's like, yee! I mean, that as a young kid, that was not something that I really needed to have floating around in my head. But oh well.
Yeah, but I mean, some of the movies are done deliberately with the tongue-in-cheek. For instance, Clive Owen did one called Shoot 'Em Up.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that was great. Kind of little.
not much of a plot, but plenty of shooting. He's just stumbles into a situation where he has to protect an infant, a newborn. I mean, a brand newborn. In fact, he severs the umbilicus with a shot from his pistol.
Well, that's a good aim.
Yeah, no real plot to it. It's just lots of shooting.
When I was looking this stuff up, one of the highest body counts, Hot Shots.
Really?
Charlie Sheen.
That's a comedy.
Yeah. Well, they were making fun of it. They actually had a kill counter on the screen while he's just got like a 50 caliber machine gun and he's just killing bad guys. And there's a counter going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the top corner as he's doing it.
Can't understand why we have so much violence in our society these days. But
yeah, that was back in the 80s.
But we do seem to have. I mean, there's a long history of. There's something about violent movies that, as humans, we tend to like to see for whatever reason.
Better to watch it than do it.
Well, and I think with things like we were talking about the Indiana Jones stuff with Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, the people who are walking into propellers and dying in strange face-melting ways, they were the Nazis, and I think everybody that has been alive for a few decades, had a certain amount of angst towards Nazis, and so, hey, you didn't really mind. Oh, okay, knock out a few more of them. Cool.
Well, yeah, the dead bad guys is not a bad thing.
But,
And
bad guys and stupid people.
Yeah.
How many did they do in Taken?
Quite a few there too. Yeah. I don't know what the body count was on that one.
But a lot. But and they were bad guys. They were the people that you dealt with. They're Albanian gangsters. Who is worse than an Albanian gangster, for crying out loud?
Well, okay, let me tell you a quick little story about Albania. I'm going into Albania during the Kosovo War, and because airspace is restricted, we had to come across on a 12-hour ferry ride across from Bari, Italy to Durrës, Albania. And as we get off the ship in Durrës, I'm sitting there, and there's this little girl who looks like she's, I don't know, 6, 7, maybe 8 years old at the most, standing there, and she's looking at me, and she's winking and smiling, and I'm like, that's kind of strange and pokey. And I look around, and down the sidewalk a little ways, I see her handler sitting there, waiting to see if I want to take the bait. And of course, I'm going into a war zone. I'm not allowed to carry guns. I'm doing humanitarian aid work, but I wanted to kill the guy. That kind of stuff is sick and twisted. But so all that to say that there are some really sick, twisted people in Albania.
Yeah. So in Taken, Liam Neeson greases dozens and dozens of Albanian gangsters. So. Yay.
One more quick story about Albania. In the capital of Tirana, Albania, is in the middle of the town is the palace of sorts where the dictator used to live, and this was one of the only, if not the only, country that had declared itself atheist, and you couldn't go in anywhere near the palace there. There's lines on the pavement outside. If you step across that line, they don't warn you or anything else. They just shoot you and you're dead. And the whole country at the time, they had all these little concrete mushrooms all over the place, and these were bomb shelters. So when the infidels came, the country gave you your own bomb shelter to protect you, and so you felt good that your country was protecting you by giving you this concrete bomb shelter. And people were in the most abject poverty, famine, a lot of problems that way. Meanwhile, in the palace, the dictator was, living large, and they finally found out about that, and the dictator went bye-bye. But that's if you want to study weird history, Albania is an interesting one to watch.
Yeah.
And the food sucks, so
Okay.
well.
And Clive Owen, who's in Shoot 'Em Up, was in another movie with Denzel Washington. It's a heist movie where they built the fake wall. Anyway, it's a heist movie, and in the movie they have a recording of Hotha, the Albanian dictator, because they're flummoxing the police, so they have a recording of this guy. They know that the police have bugged them. They're inside the bank with hostages and everything. So they play a recording of Hotha, the Albanian dictator that you're talking about, giving a speech, and it takes the cops like a day or something to figure out that, first of all, what language it is, and then who it is that's talking. So another tie-in with Hotha and Clive Owen as well.
Oh. What
Yeah,
an interesting
and Denzel Washington. And Denzel Washington made a couple of very good movies. The Equalizer and The Equalizer 2. And speaking of bad guys, he's dealing with Russian mobsters, just as bad as Albanian mobsters. And he goes in this guy's office, and he checks his watch, and he's unarmed. He's in the gangster's office, and he's got 4 or 5 henchmen in there, and he turns his stopwatch function on his watch because he wants to see if he's missing a step. He wants to see how long it takes him to kill everybody in this room, and it didn't take him very long. And one guy he kills by taking a shot glass and ramming it through his eye.
Wow, here's looking at you, kid.
Yep.
Wow.
So Denzel Washington, good action hero, and a good body count in that too, and bad guys.
Yeah.
We don't much care if bad guys get greased.
See, I had 3 movies in a row with Denzel Washington when we had our old 35mm projectors. Broke. So I don't like Denzel Washington anymore.
He's hard on projectors.
Yeah, nothing to do with Denzel Washington, but yeah, those movies all broke, and it was 3 in a row. It was just like, this is too much. But back to Stupid People.
Okay.
Some of the, we would have that insurance commercial where they're making fun of it. It's all the teenagers, and they're like, let's go hide behind the chainsaws.
Oh, right.
And that was another whole, the 80s, thrasher films, Freddy and Jason,
Freddy Krueger,
the Friday the 13th movies and all that, and that's what they all did. They did dumb things and then got murdered. So
By maniacs. Those aren't as much fun for me.
No,
I like the ones like Taken and
that's your zombie films.
zombie films are fun too.
Eating brains.
Yeah,
It's pretty violent.
Well, but you can kill all the zombies you want.
See, that's another one.
See.
Zombies, Nazis, stupid people.
And then, of course, there's a whole genre of Nazi zombie films. So you get to kill. You get to kill
Nazi zombies.
You're gonna be surprised, but I don't think I've seen any of those yet.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, they had the zombie.
Yeah, you should see Dead Snow. I
Dead
think you'd
Snow,
get a kick out of
Dead
that.
Snow, Red Snow.
Snow?
Dead Snow.
Dead Snow.
Yep. It's
Yeah,
a
it's-
Nazi zombie movie.
Nazi
And in Dead Snow 2, you have
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, you have Nazi zombies versus communist zombies.
Wow.
That's fun too.
That sounds deep.
There's a scene where the Nazi zombies using a stretch of someone's intestine to siphon gas into their tank.
Don't see that very often.
It was.
All the one-liners here are highly inappropriate. I'm just gonna steer clear. Wow. And at what point does someone say, "I know what we'll do. We'll have him use a big part of someone's intestine to"?
Well, that's what they're doing.
I
They're
think they
just,
must have been
drinking.
drinking.
Like I said, the Saw movies are just notorious for that. Is they're just coming up with these awful, terrible ways of killing people that are gonna. For instance, the one why people are afraid of needles. So there's one of the Saw movies where they throw someone into a big pit that's just full of syringes.
Oh.
So so it's just that type of nasty stuff. And another one, they lock someone in this giant oven lock them in there and then turn it on. And
Well, I think they're playing on our primal fears,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
while
sure,
also
sure.
playing on the fact that, well, we can kind of justify that if we're just killing off Nazis or communists or dumb people, or it's
little bit, yeah.
weird how they play with your brain on that kind of stuff.
Now, we mentioned Charlize Theron in the Mad Max
Fury Road.
Fury Road.
Yeah.
But she's also in another movie in this genre called Atomic Blonde. And boy, oh boy, is there some good beating up in that one. And they're beating up commies in that one, I think. It's set back during the Cold War, before the fall of the Berlin Wall. There lots of beating up commies, and poor Charlize Theron gets beat up pretty bad too.
It's good stuff. Yeah, she's done a lot. She's pretty much an action hero at this point, I think. And she was in Prometheus too, another one of the Alien films, and that was terrible. I loved it. That was good.
Isn't that interesting? How one person goes, "I love it," the other one, "Oh, it's terrible." And it all, it's just weird how these things appeal to us or don't.
I mean, it was grand and expensive and everything, but it was dumb.
It was definitely grand and expensive. But you got aliens and stuff, and Charlize Theron plays this great. Can you use a B word on the radio? That she just plays.
Voter?
Yeah.
She's not nice.
No, she plays that part really well, and in Prometheus, she's just sacrificing crew members for money left and right, and without a qualm even, and so yeah, she's really good at that stuff, and good at this, Fury Road, and Atomic Blonde was a great film.
Yeah, so one of my very faves. Another one of my very faves by the greatest living director, Luc Besson, is La Femme Nikita.
Ah, yes.
And boy, oh boy, was that a good movie! And so good that they made an English language spin-off or duplicate, I guess, of it. But really good. The French Secret Service gets a junkie who is involved in robbing drugs from a pharmacy, where they kill somebody, and they grab her and they clean her up and they force her to become an assassin for the French government, and she's a pretty good assassin.
All right, so we're just about out of time. Andy, if I ask you your favorite violent movie of all time, what comes to mind?
Boy, geez, there's so many.
I think I've got him stumped so far. How about you while he's thinking about that?
Going way back, RoboCop.
Oh, there you go.
That first RoboCop was well, the first and second were both terribly violent. Universal Soldier.
Wow.
That was pretty. That was Dolph Lundgren and Jean-Claude Van Damme, where they were reanimating soldiers, using them in as like mercenaries.
Now, I have to admit that most of the really violent stuff that I've watched have been based on true stories, and I think the one that I don't know that it's not one of these that necessarily has the little ticker up there telling you the body count as someone's wheeling around a 50 cal, but Hamburger Hill was a pretty interesting story from the Vietnam War, but that's I don't. Platoon, yeah, same kind of thing, yeah. But spooky stuff. But I guess those would be at the top of my mind. And as far as top of mind, has anything gotten to the top of yours yet, Andy?
Well, they're geez, it's just hard to pick. Just
so many violent movies, so little time.
Yeah, I really like Get the Gringo. I really like Ronin.
Oh, there you go.
Did you ever see that one?
No, I know of it.
Boy, that was a good movie.
Keanu Reeves, yeah. Not Keanu Reeves?
No.
Ronin?
Oh, that maybe that's a different. A different. This one's about mercenaries in Europe with Robert De Niro. And